Hi guys, this is Zara and Sorren with another episode of our Stars Through Numbers series. And today it's going to be a special episode because we will be talking about completely two different characters. And you may think, okay, what is the correlation between the two of them? Because before in the previous episodes, we spoke about different people, but there was also a very profound and visible correlation and why we put them together. Today, it's a little bit strange, you may think, but there is a fantastic logic. It's I can't take credit for that logic because it's all Sorren's again. She's really the star of this series. So let's dive in because today we will be talking about Barack Obama and Simon from the X Factor, correct?
Yes, one of the shows.
All right.
Okay. Yes, we have exciting stars for our final episode. I thought what better way to end than a man like Simon Cowell, who is famously known as a reality TV contestant judge who give a vote. And then this is in contrast to a politician, Barack Obama, who attracted votes to be elected to the position. So starting with Simon Cowell, his birthday is 7th October 1959. So he has a consciousness number 7 and a mission number 5. Starting with consciousness number 7. 7 wants recognitions of their actions. Piers Morgan called him a genius because he could guess what the public would like. Simon admitted that he has commercial taste and likes what the masses like. So his genius is based on simply choosing what he genuinely likes to watch. Now, quick implementation of ideas. He takes action when he has new ideas. He does that because he knows when something is well made and interesting. He said, I get bored really, really quickly. So when I make these shows, I'm trying to make something that nobody's ever seen before. Hopefully, that is unpredictable. Talking about 7 as crisis managers, before COVID really hit, Simon had a horrible feeling about it. He declared that they had to get all their shows into production around the world quicker that year. And they did. So he really can sense when something is needing urgency. And third, he saw the potential of 5 individuals in the X Factor UK and birthed one direction: chaos energy. At 44, he was asked if he was looking forward to growing old and being tranquil. And he answered, no, I couldn't see that happening. I'll just be really grumpy and miserable. Paula Abdul, one of the judges in the show of American Idol, she is a C1 M7. They have the same, not the same mission number, but they have the same 7. And then C1 is always in contradiction with 7. So as a co-judge in American Idol, Simon Cowell can be charming at times, according to Paula. But when he's in a bad mood, she makes sure that she stays far, far away. I can read him like a book. They cannot see eye to eye because they compete for who will occupy the throne. And then after his bike accident, he started taking care of himself. He walked, exercised, and became a much happier person. Because if we look at his matrix, he only have 1/7, so he has to work it up. And after the accident, he was forced to exercise. But it's actually giving him the positivity of building up his energy, or kundalini. Show their kindness aggressively. When asked if he brings out the worst in people, he answered, misunderstood, probably. That is his charming way. He remembered being a fashion police at 3 years old when asked by his mom, who was wearing a terrible fur hat, what she looked like. He answered, like a poodle, mommy. Justified that he was honest and right, and confirmed that his mother never wore that hat again. Being rude comes naturally to him, but he will not be rude to someone who won't be able to answer back. Like if it's a waitress in a restaurant and they were meant to serve him, then he will never stoop low to that level, that that person will always serve him. So he said, I don't like rudeness for the sake of rudeness.
So basically, he's sassy as a true number seven. He can,
Yes.
come out as rude to certain people because of
Yes.
this probably sarcasm and honesty. However, he's not a bully.
Correct. Ellen DeGeneres described him as brutally honest. Simon's reasoning for honesty is, for me, it's almost like a sign of affection. If you can be honest with somebody, you like them. Now, sassy and sarcastic without thinking. Simon was described as Mr. Nasty, no filter, and says what everybody's thinking, which is true. People are thinking what he is really saying out loud. Self-proclaimed obnoxious even as a child. At 45, he said he would never have children because he didn't want a mini me. Of course, 10 years later, he had a son whom he was instantly in love with, who turned out to be a double five, similar to his mission number, which is which is going to be interesting. Now he's already showing similar talent as his dad, that okay, this one is good, this one is not good when they're judging some performance. Sharon Osbourne called him a self-obsessed sicko. Simon called Kelly Osbourne a fat cow publicly and smiled satisfactorily. Well, in that part, I think he is being a bully.
Yeah, but it is also a combination of a seven and mission number five, because mission number five tend to have this, create antisocial situations. So it is very, I can relate to that as someone with mission number five. I can totally relate.
He admitted that he is rude and arrogant on television. He added that in reality TV show where they audition talent, they cut out 99% of the nice ones and kept the 1% that he is in a bad mood, which can also be a little bit true because they want the show to be sassy. At, at the Ellen show, the audience was clapping, and he told them not to when he was talking about a particular American Idol runner up who no one cares about. Like, people are crying, no, don't clap. He really wants to control everybody. Many people will fly like moths to the fire, and many will get burned. So contestants want his approval, but when they are terrible, they will get burned. They transform us through crisis. Quite a tough taskmaster because he wants everyone to be on their toes and not become complacent, refusing to let anybody rest on their laurels, especially for his staffs. His shared wisdom is it's not about the money, it's about the quality. Make it good, interesting, and fun. And don't repeat what you've done before. If it ever feels like Groundhog Day, it's time to move on. His bankruptcy failure lesson, don't borrow money, he said. Just live with what you have and just be happy with that. He gives fame to others through the artists he signed, such as One Direction, Fifth Harmony, Westlife, El Divo, Little Mix, Labyrinth, Leona Lewis, and many more.
Mm.
A star is born when they enter a room. They always look good. Well, according to himself, anyway. When asked who he is in real life, he described himself with a straight face as charming, interesting, funny, kind, passionate, surprising, intelligent, and humble. He doesn't like to wear a helmet when riding a bike, even for safety, because he reasoned it doesn't look good. In his interview with Jeremy Clarkson, he confidently said, I know I look good. Enjoyed being the number one in Top Gear's leaderboard, smiling from ear to ear and really proud of himself. Now, he suffers when not complimented. When he was younger, he was criticized for being useless, terrible, and talentless. He confessed he also confessed that no one wants to marry me. They don't like me. And he looks sad and hurt while saying those lines. In a recent interview with The Sun, Simon said that he wouldn't be so obsessed with the rating, associating it with failure and becoming uptight. He described himself as seriously super sensitive and doesn't have thick skin. He once read a comment, and even after years have passed, he can still remember the negative feedback online. Going to the Brit Awards show and not getting anything is like torture. He was toying with the idea of producing a show called It's Your Funeral, adding, you can only really know about somebody when they're dead. It's a show that you're not dead, but you'll see who will turn up and what they would actually say. Tendency for depression, he battled stress, anxiety, and depression for years. And now he is going to therapy and admits he should have gone earlier. Moving to Simon as mission number 5, communication. He's a very good communicator, a very honest one who works as a judge. He knows how to be entertaining and dramatic, especially when the way he interviews the contestants, he elaborates the things and then makes it very entertaining. Business and scaling. He's capable of producing TV shows that attract a large audience. At one point, X Factor had more than 50,000 people wanting to audition, so they had to stop the line. Desire for freedom or desire to fight someone. Beating the competition in the music industry and having the record become number 1. That was his goal when he was younger or in his 40s before his son came to the world. In the TV shows he produced, he wants that they will be better than everybody else to the point that the ratings start depressing him. They were chasing based on numbers. He was very shy even as a kid, and he considered his failure to be socially inept. Going to a party and making small talk is his idea of hell. During the global pandemic, he suffered because he was cooped in the house with his son and fiancée Lauren. But he wouldn't know that as a 5, he wanted freedom, and since he couldn't go out, that added the pressure and mental instability. Desire to prove correctness. If you want to make a reality show, it has to be a reality show. There was some show that created a script for him, and then he said, that's not how it works. It's reality because it's supposed to be real. So let me talk the way I feel at that particular moment. Now, logic and rationality or benefit are important. In an audition show, tell people if they are terrible. It's stupid to say that this awful singer is good. His mission is to go into this competition passionately to find talent. He doesn't want to give false hope because he sees that as more cruel than setting someone up to get a job they're really good at doing. He likes to justify that what he does is right and doing it within reason. It's fair game that when he was starting in the record business, he called the media, newspaper, radio, and TV show to write about him or his record because he needed it. So now that he is famous and they write negative things about him that he didn't ask for, he sees it as fair game that it's a prize for popularity. For him, it's logical. Success is something that you can measure, like clicks on YouTube or how many records were sold. So he only trusts the numbers. Life purpose working for the good of society at a scale. He asked Swedish Max Martin to be the first songwriter to join his new movement to release music on TikTok for the world to finish. And logically, it makes sense that you give your best song to the world, which is called stem drop. Doing something not traditional using technology mixed with his 7, he is disrupting the market again. I want to help people be successful. It's a great to be on TV if there's a purpose.
So as
Now,
a combo of a 7 and 5, he has intuition. So he just follows his gut. He knows which artists will be great, which wouldn't. And also he can scale it scale at all. He's always on the side of the consumer because he says that up until now, he has absolutely no idea how the recordings are made because he doesn't want to know the process because he always wants to listen to the recordings from the consumer's perspective. And I found it absolutely fascinating because I think that's something that a person with mission number 5 would, that's the logic that is very close to mission number 5. Yeah.
Mhm. And then upgrade to 8, translate the struggle into work and the result for others. He was a workaholic, but his behavior changed when his 2-year-old son asked what he was doing sleeping in the morning, and he couldn't understand why he was up late in the evening working. So he became a healthy 8 and not become obsessively workaholic for the rest of his life. Now, looking at Simon's matrix, he has a 100% of number 1, capable for strategizing and leading. 100% of number 9 is skilled at benefiting others through service. And then he also have
And
the 159.
also drive. Number 9 is like having, a good gear. So he's dynamic, he's quick.
And 159 is the line of adequate communication. He doesn't have any 2, so it can be understandable that practicing diplomacy isn't a normal skill. He only has 1 7 in the matrix, as mentioned earlier, so he needs to work it up when he was mellower, healthier, and happier.
For me, Simon is a great and yet terrifying example of a person with mission number 5, because yes, as we know, for a person with mission number 5 to implement, actualize in life, to fulfill their purpose, what we need to do is shift to mission number 8, which means work hard. So instead of getting angry, getting rageful all the time, fighting with circumstances and people, we need to channel all that energy into hard work. So he is a perfect example of how he managed to do it and how successful he's become through that. But also, as you mentioned, yes, as a 7, he needs to be a little bit like 6 and of course a little bit like 8. So here again, he needs to work like an 8. And the fact that he doesn't have an 8 in the matrix means that the only way for him to develop that skill is to actually work 24/7. So in that sense, for me, Simon is a great example of someone who is in the positive mindset despite everything, because we know that as a 7, 7s in the positive mindset, they are geniuses. And he mentioned that he's quite close he's quite spiritual as well. He was talking about how when he lost his parents, he believes that they're still around. He believes in the higher source, in God, right? So that's again another manifestation of someone with consciousness number 7. So yes, they are geniuses. Yes, they are sassy. They can be rude. However, what I found beautiful is how he again channels his desire to be recognized and praised by others by setting up this beautiful boundaries with his fandom, right? He would never say no to an autograph or a desire to take a photo or a selfie with his fans. And I went through the comments under his interview at the Diary of a CEO podcast, which I highly recommend everyone to watch, because irrespective of what you know about Simon, because I was again practically oblivious. So thank you, Sorren. I learned something new today. It is a fantastic interview. It gives you so much insight about work ethic and general approach to life, and how someone, even though he is a 7, so I'm going to drop the link to that podcast in the description to make it easier for people. And so to wrap up my thought, I went through the comments, and there were so many people saying, "Oh, I met him accidentally," or "I was a cabin crew on a plane once, and he was so nice. He was so down to earth." So he's not lying. He's really genuinely a person that connects with people. Yeah, so I had another thought, but I lost it. Anyway.
Yes, when it comes. Now, finishing with Barack Obama, his birthday is 4th of August, 1961.
Sorry. Before we switch to Barack,
Yes.
I wanted to add another thing, right? So he was talking about depression. So we know that number seven are quite inclined to feeling depressed and
Yes.
even suicidal thoughts. So as he mentioned, I wasn't really thinking about committing suicide, but I wouldn't mind if that was over, if the life was over. So again, we know that the vast majority of people committing suicides, they are people with consciousness number seven. And now I remembered what I almost forgot. So we know that number seven, because they are so-called aliens, they very often feel lost and don't have the sense of belonging. And very often it manifests itself in the family, as in they are, not really, they don't feel like they belong to this particular family. Now, in his case, he got very lucky because he was born in a family of very supportive and wise parents. However, he did feel a little bit ostracized or not really welcome or part of the group when it came to school and later on. So again, we can see how these things can manifest in number seven. And that's pretty much it, that what I wanted to say about Simon. Yeah, so let's dive.
And yes, I noticed that Simon loved his parents so much, but he has several siblings and he never really mentioned them,
Mm,
that he is close to them. And then suddenly from parents, it's just the son again. That I can't believe I can love someone like my parents. So you know that there is not a good relationship there because he couldn't really mention as loving as he mentioned the parents.
true, true. And yeah, he mentioned his brother just once, just in the context of the
Yes,
making more money, which
just a
could
little bit.
potentially, yeah, mean that there was a competition. Maybe his
Yes.
brother is a number one or another seven.
Mhm.
We don't know, but yeah. Okay.
Okay, now finishing with Barack Obama. As mentioned, his birthday is 4th of August, 1961. His consciousness number is 4 and a mission number 2. Barack, as consciousness number 4, rebelled against the system and won justice and fairness. Michelle Obama shared that early in their relationship, she woke up one night to find Barack staring at the ceiling. He looked vaguely troubled, as if he were pondering something deeply personal. She asked, "Hey, what are you thinking about over there?" He answered, "Oh, I was just thinking about the income inequality." Michelle thought he got himself fixated on big and abstract issues, fueled by some crazy sense that he might be able to do something about them. Well, this is before he became a senator and a president. Now, Barack wants to tell a story based on facts. He said, "I am not a fan of discrimination and bullying of anybody on the basis of race, on the basis of religion, on the basis of sexual orientation or gender." He had a simple, buoyant faith that things would work out if you stuck to your principles. The ego vector is aimed at finding and achieving goals. He admitted that there are so many things that he cares about, especially when he was sitting US president. He has to be strategic to pick only what he can get done. And for a Ford, that's a challenge. Ford gives everything to others. He defined a president as a public servant. They are temporary occupants of the office by design. And when your time is up, then it's your job to put the country first and think beyond your ego, your own interests, and your own disappointment. He said this when Trump doesn't want to leave the office or do the proper turnover. He really wanted to change America's healthcare and push for the Affordable Care Act, which is informally known as Obamacare. Kindest people. He knows how to connect with people, sharing that they have the same story of hardship he experienced growing up. He demonstrated humility and willingness to sacrifice his own needs and wants for a bigger purpose. The goal is more precious than money. Barack was focused on making politics better for the future, less money driven, more accessible, and ultimately more hopeful. Visionary. He has a strong sense of purpose. It was so alive. In the presence of his certainty, his notion was that he could make some sort of difference in the world. He said, "America has huge potential and opportunity to seize 21st century. We're only going to get there though if we have serious conversation about the things that matter to people. During his presidential announcement speech, he was clear about his vision. I want to summon the entire nation to a higher purpose. Well, yes, to a higher destiny. Stand up for equality, stand up for justice, stand up for our children. He
So we
can
can
inspire.
essentially, so sorry, honey, for interrupting you. We can
Yes, sure.
essentially put him, in the same box as all the other socialists and communists in a sense. Of course, he's a milder version, and there is,
Yes,
I'm not, voicing out any political opinions right now, but we can see how for him, that justice, that equality and equity and all of that Castro, Lenin, and other rebels talked about
have
and wanted
spoken
to
about.
build is pretty much the
Yes,
same idea, just, in a nicer box
yes,
without repression and repressions and mass killings, thankfully.
yes. He can inspire and influence people to join him in his vision. In one of his speeches, he was convincing, saying, what's better for us? Do we settle for the world as it is? Or do we work for the world as it should be? Four have their own process. He's always thinking about how he can serve the people and actually try to do something about it. He reminisced about his 8 year presidency. There was a satisfaction in knowing that I had finished the job. I had run my stretch of the race, and I could say unequivocally, despite regrets and disappointments about some things not getting done, the country was better off when I left than when I got there. Important to practice gratitude. Well, I did not hear him really say thank you or a gratitude practice, but Michelle was saying that their whole family prays every day and into the habit of being thankful. So I'm not sure how grateful Barack and his gratitude practice really is.
Yeah, but
Long,
we recommend gratitude practice to everyone, but especially to people with consciousness or mission number four, because they're so much inclined to negative thinking and to looking for negative, like instead of looking for silver linings, they would always focus on the negative stuff. How the glass is half full.
empty.
Sorry, half empty.
Yes, it's
So
empty.
that's
Yes.
why we encourage them to practice gratitude to rewire their brain, and so they can start focusing on good stuff and noticing small things because they are never satisfied, right? So it's not about particularly practicing any gratitude or talking about gratitude, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Okay, long list. Barack is famous having year-end lists in his Instagram. Hassan Minhaj asks, when you do your end of the year list, do you really read all those books, watch all those shows, and listen to all those songs? He proudly answered, I do. I am so glad that I have this opportunity. People, they believe the books and the movies. But the playlist, they somehow think, and this is mostly coming from young people like you. Somehow you all think you invented rock and roll, you invented hip hop, and so the fact that my lists are pretty incredible, people seem to think, well, he must have had some 20-year-old intern who was figuring out this latest cut. No man, it's on my iPad right now. So he's really confirming it's his he love and for love list. So I wouldn't question it. And being a 4 and 2, I don't doubt I don't doubt his integrity when he said, I am very scrupulous about making sure that this is stuff that I actually like. And he read, he watched, and he listened to. Barack as mission number 2, desire to understand. He reads several newspapers daily, cover to cover. He kept tabs on the latest book reviews, the sports standings, and what the Southside mayor was up to. He could speak with equal passion about the Polish elections and which movie were criticized and why. So he really reads a lot because he has the desire to understand everything as much as he can. So when he talks to different people, he'll always have something to say. coming from his library. When he was campaigning and entered a folks' home, he said, "We've all got different experiences, and things aren't always fair, and let's be honest about that. But I will come to you believing that I can understand where you are coming from and what your life's like." And then here's the line that says that could be a suffering for him. "And I expect you to be able to understand me." But if you're unhealthier too, you cannot expect that people should understand you all the time. But it's
But
good that you understand people.
that's what the ego wants, right?
Yes. I'm not going to assume that we have to be divided or that we're not going to be able to somehow find common ground. He never talked about material things like buying a house, a car, or even new shoes. His money went largely toward books, which to him were like sacred objects providing ballast for his mind. Obama spoke about 4 years of virtual silence on Trump to honor "thou shalt not criticize your successor." But he wonders if that was a mistake. He thought, whether I was so tempered in speaking the truth, too cautious in word or deed. Many Americans believe he was too tempered and cautious, and he responded, "Yeah, and I think that's a legitimate and understandable criticism. At the end of the day, I consistently tried to treat my political opposition in the way that I wanted to be treated, to not overreact." Barack knows how he is as a wholly formed person. He isn't self conscious about expressing fear or weakness and values being truthful. Talking about diplomacy, Oprah Winfrey described him as someone who has an ear for eloquence and a tongue for the unvarnished truth. Barack said, "Fundamentally, I believe the American people are good and decent, and the politics doesn't have to be some cage match in which everybody is going at each other's throats, that we can agree without being disagreeable." He confessed that his strength is pretty even temperament, which doesn't get too high when it's high and too low when it's low. Empathy. As an organizer working in urban communities, Barack would be content most often with a deep weariness in people, especially Black people, a cynicism bred from 1,000 small disappointments over time. Depression. He admits, "Of course, there are times when I feel depressed. Because objectively, when you see an entire school terrified because of a gunman walking in with weapons of war, if your heart's not breaking, then something's wrong with you. That's not normal. If you're not stressed about climate change at the time when we're seeing record forest fires and haze floating right here in DC, coming from the north and flooding, all the evidence is that we're not moving as fast as we need to. That should cause some distress and anxiety." Here he is being realistic again. So the issue for me at least is not to be blind to the genuine challenges and threats that are in front of us. To build relationship, he can establish rapport with people by bringing in his personal experience, maybe about his mom or love for his children, and even when talking to a Republican from Deep South who doesn't look like him. Charismatic. He knows how to work the room and an audience. Smith and Michelle Obama described Barack as a 4-2 who was openly affectionate. "He told me I was beautiful and made me feel good. To me, he was sort of like a unicorn, unusual to the point of seeming almost unreal." Realistic. They bring things to reality. He may have lofty visions for his country, but he is realistic about what can be done with the limited time he has been given to lead. For him, we have to start at a local level in terms of rebuilding social trust we need for democracy to work. His daughters. It's interesting that he said he's afraid of his youngest daughter, Sasha, because she's a mini me of Michelle, and he's afraid of Michelle. Sasha is a 1-1, C1, M1. And for an M2, he would have a tendency to wait for an M1. And then
What about
fascinating.
Michelle?
Later. let's talk about the two daughters first. And then fascinating hearing him comment that he gets along with his firstborn daughter, Malia, saying they have the same temperament, long face, the vegetarian in the family, and who is the gatherer. In contrast, Michelle and Sasha are the hunters. Malia has the same consciousness number 4 and vision number 2 as he does,
Right.
exactly as he is. So no wonder they really feel like I know you because it's like I'm you.
Yeah.
Now his wife, Michelle, is a C8 M2. They
Hmm.
have the same mission number, but from a 4 to an 8. As an 8, she tried to suppress her husband from running as president. Eventually, at the White House, though, she grounded him and had dinner every day at 6:30 to remind him what matters. Since they both have mission number 2, they understood each other's need for connection. Barack was born in Hawaii, so as a mission number 2, it was heaven for him to be near the water. Being married to an M2, I've seen them enjoy vacationing by the water, which benefit both their energy. Now, Barack upgraded to number 5, scaling activities without losing feelings and emotion. Barack said, I do think that a new president can set a new tone that's not going to solve all the gridlock in Washington. I think we're going to have to work with the media and tech companies to find ways to inform the public better about the issues to bolster the standards that ensure we can separate truth from fiction and avoid truth decay. Michelle shared, I know for sure about my husband. You don't dangle an opportunity in front of him, something that could give him a wider field of impact, and expect him just to walk away because he doesn't, he won't. After leaving the White House, he and Michelle created a foundation whose mission is to coach and develop the next generation of leaders from all parts of the world who are doing amazing things in healthcare or education. They will bring them together, coach them, give them a platform, lift them up, and create networks for them. They will expose them to how things work and let them know that they have power and agency. Now, looking at Barack's matrix, 100% of number 1, who is capable of strategizing and leading. He has 4-8, the line of transferring knowledge to fast karma. He has 6-8, the line of quick rest. And he has 6-9, the project completion line. I think he's using 6-9 quite well for himself. And then that's it for Barack Obama.
And he is also a fantastic orator. So he is very well spoken, and that's another thing that people with consciousness number 4 are gifted with. They know how to, you know,
Work the crowd.
yes, charm the crowd so the crowd will follow. All right. Thank you. Yeah.
I want to thank you, Sarah, for this series that allowed me to play and explore the consciousness and mission numbers. Numerical psychology at a personal level not only helped me understand myself, but it also gave me a glimpse of my ancestors. I never get a chance to meet all of them, but through their numbers, I know that a glimpse, a piece of them that is true and meaningful. So thank you so much.
What a beautiful, beautiful way, a beautiful angle, I would say. I've never thought about it this way. Thank you. Thank you for doing the heavy lifting, and thank you for introducing me to Kardashians and for forcing me to learn more about Simon. Yeah, this was a fantastic journey, but we'll see, guys. If we get enough requests, maybe we'll just come back and keep, analyzing different stars. Maybe you have certain requests, or maybe you want to dig deeper yourselves. Of course, for that, you need to learn a little bit of numerical psychology. Thank you, and we'll see you soon in this maybe series, who knows, season 2, never say never, or in some other projects. Thank you.